Mount Kanlaon, also known as Kanlaon volcano, is an active stratovolcano located on the island of Negros in the Philippines. It is the highest mountain on the island and the highest point in the Visayas region, with an elevation of 2,465 meters, 8,087 feet above sea level. The volcano has a rich history of eruptions, with recorded activity dating back to 1866. Most of the eruptions have been small to medium-sized phreatic explosions, causing minor ashfall in the vicinity of the volcano. Due to its history of sudden outbursts, there is a permanent danger zone with a radius of 4 kilometers around the volcano, and the public is advised to refrain from entering this area. In pre-Hispanic times, Mount Kanlaon was worshipped by indigenous people as their supreme ruler. The name Kanlaon in the Visayan language means one who is the ruler of time. Mount Kanlaon holds great significance for the indigenous people of the area. In pre-Hispanic times, the deity Kanlaon was worshipped by the indigenous people as their supreme ruler. The name Kanlaon in the Visayan language means one who is the ruler of time. This ancient Hiligaynon deity played a central role in their mythology and belief system. The mythology surrounding Kanlaon reveals fascinating tales of creation, agricultural significance, and divine power. The indigenous Filipinos revered Kanlaon as a divine being who resided at the summit of Mount Kanlaon. The mountain was considered a sacred place, and the indigenous people believed that it held a deep spiritual connection to their lives and the natural world. Today, Mount Kanlaon continues to be an important cultural and spiritual symbol for the indigenous people of the area. It represents their rich history, traditions, and connection to their ancestral lands. The mountain's majestic presence and natural beauty inspire a sense of awe and reverence among the indigenous communities. The indigenous people of the area celebrate their connection to Mount Kanlaon through various cultural practices and rituals. These celebrations are deeply rooted in their beliefs, traditions, and the significance of the mountain in their lives. Here are some ways in which they celebrate their connection to Mount Kanlaon. 1. Rituals and offerings. The indigenous people perform rituals and make offerings to honor and show respect to the mountain and the deity associated with it. These rituals often involve prayers, chants, dances, and the offering of food, flowers, and other symbolic items. To dot pilgrimages, the indigenous communities may organize pilgrimages to Mount Kanlaon, where they embark on a journey to the mountain's summit or other sacred sites. These pilgrimages serve as a way to strengthen their spiritual connection to the mountain and seek blessings from the deity. 3. Festivals and cultural events. Special festivals and cultural events are held to celebrate the connection to Mount Kanlaon. These events showcase traditional music, dances, arts and crafts, and other cultural expressions that highlight the indigenous heritage and the significance of the mountain. 4. Oral traditions and storytelling. The indigenous people pass down oral traditions and stories from generation to generation, which often include myths, legends, and tales related to Mount Kanlaon. Through storytelling, they keep their cultural history alive and reinforce their connection to the mountain. 5. Conservation and environmental stewardship. The indigenous communities recognize the importance of preserving the natural environment, including Mount Kanlaon. They actively engage in conservation efforts, sustainable practices, and environmental stewardship to protect the mountain and its surrounding ecosystems. These celebrations and practices vary among different indigenous groups and may have specific cultural nuances and traditions. It is important to note that these celebrations are deeply rooted in their cultural heritage and should be respected and appreciated.
The indigenous people near Mount Kanlaon take active measures to ensure the protection of the environment surrounding the mountain. Here are some of the ways they contribute to environmental conservation. 1. Community engagement. The indigenous communities actively engage their members in environmental protection initiatives. They raise awareness about the importance of preserving the natural environment and involve community members in conservation activities. 2. Sustainable practices. Indigenous communities promote sustainable practices in their daily lives, such as practicing organic farming, using traditional knowledge for land and resource management, and adopting eco-friendly methods of livelihood. 3. Forest and biodiversity conservation. The indigenous people recognize the significance of the forest ecosystems around Mount Kanlaon and work towards their conservation. They participate in reforestation efforts, protect biodiversity hotspots, and promote sustainable forest management practices. 4. Water resource management. Indigenous communities rely on local rivers, lakes, and natural water sources for their livelihood. They prioritize the protection and proper management of these water resources, ensuring their sustainability for future generations. 5. Advocacy and policy engagement. The indigenous people actively advocate for their rights and participate in policy discussions related to environmental protection. They collaborate with government agencies, NGOs, and other stakeholders to ensure that their voices are heard in decision-making processes. These efforts by the indigenous communities near Mount Kanlaon contribute to the overall conservation of the environment and help preserve the natural beauty and resources of the area.